In Korea, there's a story about a young woman who was well loved by her mother. Her father had died when the girl was quite young. Her mother raised her by herself. They were not rich. They struggled. And the mother grew quite ill. She called the girl to her bedside one day, and she said, "Daughter, I'm going to die, and I'm leaving you two very special things." The daughter listened and waited. Her mother reached over, and she took a small wooden bowl and handed it to the girl. She said, "This is one thing, and the other thing is my wooden walking stick." She gave that to the girl. She said, "When I die, which will be soon, take these things with you, keep them with you, and leave your home, go on into the world, and you will find what you find." The mother died. The girl took the bowl and the stick, and she set forth. She walked a long, long day. She was tired by the end of the day. And as the sun set, she stopped to look at the sky and the rays of light that shot across the sky. And she gazed at that for a long moment, and she heard a little sound, a little fluttering sound. And she looked up, and you know how fast they go by? A bat, you just barely get a chance to see it as it flickers by. She saw the bat, and then she noticed in the beginning of dark, she saw there was a dark space over there. It looked like a cave. It looked like it would be a good place to spend the night. So she crept in there. It was dark. She found a spot clear of debris. She laid down close to the wall. She put the bowl and the stick close beside her. She closed her eyes and she waited for sleep. But she heard a sound coming out of the darkness. She opened her eyes. Wind? Could it be some wind out there? She lifted her head and looked into the darkness. She couldn't see anything. She lay very still. And then she didn't know what else to do. She reached out, she took a hold of that wooden bowl and the stick, and she rattled them together. And then she heard words. "Skeleton? Skeleton? Is that you, Skeleton?" The girl didn't know what to do. She thought it might be best just to say, "Yes." "Skeleton? Okay. I wondered who it was. Good thing it's not a human. Skeleton, listen, I got a plan for you." "Wait a minute. Skeleton, you sure it's you?" "Yes." "Doesn't sound like you. Let me feel your arm." The girl took the stick and held it out, and something shuffled closer, grabbed a hold of the stick and shook it in her hand. "Yeah, that's you. It's you. That's your arm, okay. Skeleton, okay, listen, wait a second. Skeleton?" "Yes." "Skeleton, let me feel your head. Let me feel your head. I want to make sure it's you." She put the bowl forward. Yeah, that's you. The girl now realized it was a goblin. These goblins could be horrible. They could be terrible for people. She had to be very careful. "Skeleton, listen to me. I got a lucky thing you're not a person, because that, you know how I'm like. Okay, let's go. Come on, I got a plan. Come on, you're coming with me, right, Skeleton?" "Yes." So the goblin shuffled out of the cave and into the dark, and the girl got up and followed, not knowing what else to do. She brought the bowl and the stick, and she kept a good distance behind just in case the goblin saw her and realized she wasn't a skeleton. She didn't need to worry about that. There was no moon, there was no light. It was so dark. Every once in a while, though, the goblin would pause and turn and say, "Skeleton, you sure you're there?" And she would rattle the stick in the bowl. "Yes." "Okay, let's go. Come on. We're gonna go steal a soul. Yes. Come on, let's go. We're going to the palace. The palace? She didn't even know there was a palace nearby. Yes. She followed the goblin. She was scuffled along, and it was easy to follow him by sound. And they came to the palace. They crept in through the door. It was silent. There wasn't even a guard out. They crept to the bedroom where the prince slept. Come on, this is where we're going. We're going to take the soul of the prince. Let's go. Come on, skeleton. I need your help. Yes, said the girl, rattling quietly. And they went into the prince's room. And the goblin climbed up onto a chair beside the prince's bed. He took a bag. He said to the girl, skeleton, stand over on the other side right there. So she did. It was still dark. She was safe. Now you're going to help me just by being there. That's it. Here we go. We're taking his soul. And the goblin took a bag, held it over the prince's mouth. And as the prince exhaled his next breath, he captured the prince's soul in the bag. I got it. Come on, skeleton, let's go. He pulled the bag tight, tied the ends. Come on, let's go. And he shuffled away. And the girl followed him back out of the palace, through the dark, back to the cave. Let's go. Go to sleep, skeleton. You lie down, go to sleep. Skeleton, is that you? She rattled the stick in the bowl. Yes, it's me. Okay, go to sleep, and we'll see about the morning. The girl fell asleep. She couldn't believe she slept. But in the morning when she woke up, she remembered everything that had happened. She cautiously opened her eyes and looked around, and there was nobody else in the cave. It was strange. She began to wonder if she dreamt the whole thing. She got up, and she was leaving the cave with her bowl and her stick when she noticed a little cloth bag on the ground. So she bent down and picked it up. It felt like nothing. It felt like there was nothing in it. But she tucked it into her coat and went out. And as soon as she left the cave, she began encountering other people. Everyone was weeping. She said, "What's the matter? What's happening?" People were saying, "It's the saddest day we've ever seen. The prince died in the night. Nobody even saw it coming. He wasn't sick, and such a beautiful, wonderful person he was, and he's gone. The king is in the deepest of mourning, and oh, it's a terrible time for our land." The girl felt that bag beside her, and she walked down the road to the palace. She said to the guard, "I'd like to speak to the king." The guard said, "Get away. We don't take beggars in here, and the king is in mourning. Go away." She said, "Please, I have to see the king." Eventually, she persuaded the guard to give her 1 minute with the king. And the king said, "What is it? Don't trouble me. You know this is a terrible day for me." She said, "Please give me just a few moments alone with your son's body. I think I can help you." And the king did. He said, "Go in that room. If there's anything that you can do, please do it." So she made sure the door was closed. She went to the side of the bed. She took that bag, and she stood beside this prince. And it had been dark the first time. She hadn't seen him. But as soon as she saw him, she saw not just his physical beauty, but that she could see he was a wonderful person. And she felt suddenly the sadness at this loss. And she felt hopeful that she'd be able to bring him back to life. So she held the bag open over his mouth. And sure enough, the soul poured out of the bag right into his lips were open just the tiniest bit. The soul just poured in like water. And immediately the prince took color. His eyelids fluttered. And then the girl realized she mustn't be seen by him. She was suddenly so ashamed of who she was, her poverty, all the way she must look to someone in this place. So she moved to hide. But she wasn't fast enough. The prince opened his eyes and saw her, and he saw her beauty too. Well, the king came in, saw that his son was alive, turned to the girl and said, "You have brought me the greatest happiness. The only greater happiness would be if you stay here and marry my son." And she said, "Yes." And it's a good thing, because apparently they were really, really happy together. To start with, they had a huge party that lasted a year. And all the time, she thought about that goblin, and she always, just to be sure, kept her stick and bowl close by her bedside. And you might wonder how I know the story. She had a dog. She had a little puppy. And that puppy knew the whole story because of living there. So it trotted all the way across the ocean. It came here and told the story to me. And I came here and told the story to you.